Tonight, we focus on Africa, a continent grappling with an intense triple crunch: democracy, debt, and desperation. From the ballot box in Tanzania to the power grids in Kenya and the war zones abroad, the stakes for ordinary people have never been higher. This is the African News Update on Top Accolade News. The headlines: AU cites fraud in Tanzania's controversial election. Congo Republic pushes for sustainable debt solution. Electricity rationing begins in Kenya. US ends deportation protections for South Sudanese nationals. We lead with Tanzania's tainted vote, a stark wake-up for the continent. The African Union Observer Mission says Tanzania's October 29th election failed to meet international standards, citing ballot-stuffing, voter manipulation, and media curbs. Monitors were expelled from polling stations and an internet shutdown marred transparency. Despite President Suluhu Hassan's landslide victory, opposition groups report hundreds dead in protest. The AU now urges urgent electoral reforms. Democracy cannot breathe where truth is suffocated. From electoral chaos to economic correction, another African nation is trying to turn its debt into opportunity. Congo's Republic's Finance Minister Christian Yoko says the nation is in talks with European partners over a possible debt for nature swap aimed at easing debt pressure while preserving the Congo Basin, the world's second largest rainforest. Speaking at COP30 in Brazil, Yoko said discussions include credit enhancement, though details remain unclear. For Congo, turning debt into conservation could be more than just finance. It is trade where survival meets sustainability. Kenya is struggling just to keep the lights on. President William Ruto said Kenya Power has begun rationing electricity between 5 p.m. and 10 p.m. as rising demand overwhelms supply.
We need to generate electricity. As I talk to you,
imports from Ethiopia have surged to 1.53 billion kilowatt-hour, up from 337 million in 2022, while a moratorium on new power purchase agreements blocked new producers from joining the grid. With aging infrastructure and halted investment compounding the crunch, Kenya's energy shortfall exposes a painful truth that when policy stalls, the light goes out. Now to the United States, where immigration policy has taken another hard turn, one that could send hundreds back into instability. The U.S. has terminated temporary protected status for South Sudanese nationals, ending a 13-year policy that shielded around 232 people from deportation. The Department of Homeland Security said conditions in South Sudan no longer meet criteria for ongoing armed conflict, giving beneficiaries 60 days to leave or face removal starting in January. Critics warned the move could return people to instability as South Sudan teeters between peace and relapse into war. Bureaucracy often outpaces humanity. You're watching the African News Update on Top Accolade News. Do stay with us. Still to come. Thanks for staying with us. The storm rages far from home for South Africans trapped abroad. 17 South Africans stranded in Ukraine's Donbas region have appealed for help after being duped into fighting as mercenaries. Most hail from KwaZulu-Natal and were lured by false promises of lucrative jobs. President Ramaphosa has ordered a probe as Pretoria scrambles through diplomatic channels to bring them home. Analysts blame rampant youth unemployment, over 30%, for fueling such exploitation. As Russia's network would desperate Africans into shadow wars, poverty has become the most powerful recruiter on the battlefield. Old wounds in Ethiopia are reopening. Authorities in Ethiopia's Afar region said Tigray People's Liberation Front fighters have crossed regional borders and captured 6 villages in Megala district, using heavy weapons against civilians. The Afar government warned it would defend itself If attack persists, the TPLF, once Ethiopia's dominant political force, has yet to comment. 2 years after the Pretoria peace deal, the fresh clashes reveal an uneasy truth. Ethiopia's wounds may have healed on paper, but not on ground. Now to culture. Victoria Oga, head of distribution at Film One Entertainment, has shed light on the harsh economics of Nollywood, explaining how story strength, runtime, technical quality, and audience appeal determine whether a film reaches cinemas or flops financially. She emphasized that even viral films or high budget doesn't guarantee profit, as box office revenue is shared among stakeholders. For Olga, distribution is the real battlefield of filmmaking, a world where passion fuels creativity, but only profit keeps the camera rolling. Finally, a powerful statement that transcends politics and economics, a statement of intent on the football pitch. South African coach Hugo Broos has announced a 23-man squad to face Zambia in a November 15 friendly, part of preparation for the 2025 AFCON in Morocco. With new faces, Bruce says the clash offers a chance to test depth before Africa's biggest stage. For Bafana Bafana, every friendly is not just a rehearsal, it is a statement of intent. From power cuts to political unrest, from cultural courage to sporting ambition, these stories remind us that progress in Africa is not linear, but relentless. Even in darkness, the continent keeps moving, and so must its truth. I'm Ojarumi Okocha, and this is the African News Update on Top Accolade News, keeping you connected to the pulse of the continent.